Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next installment of Student Story Week. I'm really excited about this one. We're going to be talking to Vanessa from University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and we're going to be talking about celebrating your culture, which I know is something that a lot of students really care about. They want to maintain their roots and they want to share their culture. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Vanessa's perspective. So Vanessa, thank you so much for being with me today.
No problem.
So first, before we dive in, why don't you tell everyone where you're from and what your major is at University of Wisconsin-La Crosse?
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Vanessa, and I'm from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I just graduated from the University of Wisconsin-La
Wow.
Crosse with a microbiology major.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
exciting. So exciting. Do you have any plans for what happens now?
Yeah, I'm looking into graduate school. So that's my plan
Mm,
next after this bachelor degree.
very cool. And what's your dream job? What do you hope to do with your degree?
I'm hoping to be an infectious diseases doctor in the future.
Wow, that's very relevant right now, that's for sure. Definitely a high demand field, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to know also, why did you choose to study at UW La Crosse? What brought you to choose this school?
So my journey is really long, so I'll just make it really short. So I chose La Crosse because they have a really good program in science, and as I was a science major, that was the top school to come to. So I was in Madison before, and I was looking for schools, and La Crosse was, I think, number 2 or number 5 in the Midwest. So that's why I chose La Crosse, and when I came, I was happy with the result.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that you feel you made a good decision, and it's nice that you were already like in Wisconsin,
Yes.
so you could kind of like look around and see. Were you able to visit La Crosse's campus before you arrived?
No,
Oh
I did
my
not.
gosh. You're brave. What did
Yeah,
you
but I
think then when you first stepped on campus?
So I like the admission sent me a video of the city and the school. So that's how I just like kind of virtual tour the school. I did it virtually. And when I came here, I was impressed and I liked it. So
That's good. I'm so glad that it worked out for you. Okay, so I really want to dive into our topic today just because it's so interesting. You said you're from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's a place I've never visited. I think there are a lot of students who have never been there either. And since this is all about culture, let's start with you. So, how would you describe your culture coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo?
I would say my culture is really versatile. We have like 4 national languages. And beside that, we have like a lot of dialect. So, and yeah, like different places around like the Congo speak different languages, and I would say rich with food, music, and yeah.
That's so cool. Very cool. And when you arrived then to the States or to Wisconsin, did you experience any culture shock? Like, were there any things that were kind of challenging for you to adjust to?
Yeah, the weather.
Like what? The weather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I imagine that
weather,
was a big one.
the food too, the food, and yeah, I would say those two were the big one, the major one. Even now, the winter
Yeah.
is still like hard one, but I'm still here. So I don't know how I do it, but I do it each year.
It is one of those things you kind of get used to over time. I mean, I'm from Ohio. I'm from, a place that has cold weather, and even when you're born there and you're brought up there your whole life, I think you still get cold in the winter.
Yeah,
That's something you just
yeah,
never
yeah.
escape. Oh, awesome. So, you experienced some culture shock. You had to adjust a little bit. But as you started meeting students and meeting with other people from other countries or domestic students from the States, what were the things that you really enjoyed sharing about your culture?
I like sharing about food first. I usually tell people about my like the food and the languages and all the
Uh-huh.
like all the resources that my country has, because I know a lot of people don't know about the Congo.
Yeah.
So I try to talk
Yeah.
about the like the food, music,
Yeah,
and
what's the
culture.
food like? I'm really curious.
So we have a lot of like fresh vegetables, uh, fish, and fufu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when you moved to the States, you mentioned food was one of like your culture shock experiences. How was the food different from what you were used to back home? What was like the weirdest thing you ate or that you tried here in the States?
Luckily, I've never tried something that is not good.
Well, that's good. So you liked everything.
Yeah, but I tend not to eat much of like the American food because I just feel like
Hmm.
I'm not really used to it. So I usually try to do my own food most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good way as well to kind of share a little bit of your culture. If you cook, like do you invite friends over? Do you have you ever like cooked for other people so they can try, your home cooked food?
Yes, I cook for my coworkers and my roommates
Uh-huh.
to share. Yeah, so yeah,
And what's the response been?
they love it and they ask me to do it more often.
Nice. Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome. So what's like your go-to dish that you cook if you're trying to just like share with someone?
I will make plantains
Mm-hmm.
first, and then vegetable that we call it's cassava leaves, so we call it sombe
Uh-huh.
back home. I'll make those two, and then for desserts or snacks I'll make bitumbula, which is like donuts. So I'll just make those,
Mm-hmm.
and on the side of plantains I will just take like meat or chicken because I know everybody loves it, so I'll just do that in case they don't like the
Yeah.
veggies. Yeah.
No, that's so cool though. That's one thing like when you travel, I travel a lot for my job, and one of the things that I really love to experience is different foods. I've tried a lot of things I don't like, but one of the things that I've really enjoyed experiencing are the different fruits and vegetables that people eat in different countries and kind of the way it's prepared. Because you think vegetables are going to be the same everywhere, but they're not. It's
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
there really is a lot of different things to try. Were there any new like fruits or vegetables in the States that you hadn't tried before?
I would say broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like broccoli?
Yeah. I love broccoli.
Oh, good. Yeah, broccoli is like the thing that typically kids never want to eat, and the parents tell their kids like, you have to eat your broccoli. So I was curious to see if you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good.
That's it's one of those controversial vegetables in the States. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
So, from your experience, just being an international student, do you feel like you connect more with other international students that are from a similar culture from yours, or do you connect more with students from different backgrounds?
I would say for this one, it depends. For
Hmm.
like, I connect easily with international students because I know all of us come from different places and we are going through the same thing. So I connect
Hmm.
quickly with international students. But for example, where I work or in my classes, I connect with like domestic students. So it's 50-50. I connect easily with both of them, but most of the time it's
Yeah.
international. Yeah, international students.
Yeah, it's nice when you're coming from sort of a common ground, even if your cultures are totally different. You have that shared experience of leaving your country, going someplace new, and that just kind of forms an instant bond, even if you
Yeah,
don't know someone very well.
yeah.
So that's
Especially
great.
learning the language at the like at that time, both of us, for example, in the other international student and I, we are not really good in English. So sharing that make us feel like, oh yes, at least I have somebody who is going through the
Yeah.
same thing as me, learning or making mistakes and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to not feel like you're alone in that because it can be so intimidating when English is not your first language. You know, a lot of people can like clam up a little bit and they just don't talk. So you know, that's something that I think is really good to point out. How many languages do you speak, Vanessa?
Five. I would say five.
5? Oh my
Yes, but I kind
gosh.
of forget some a little bit because I don't practice them. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, but I would still stick with five because I
Wow. That's a
yeah.
lot. That's way more than most people speak. What are the languages that you know?
So our English, French, Swahili, Lingala, and Chiluba.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So do you think in all those different languages, or which language are you normally thinking in?
Uh, so when I came, I used to think in French, but now I think
Interesting.
in English.
I think in English. Oh, that's so funny. I remember when I was a student, when I was in high school, I really fell in love with the Spanish language. And I wanted to be a Spanish teacher. And so when I was learning the language, of course, my goal was to get fluent. And I remember my high school Spanish teacher telling us, you're fluent in a language once you start dreaming in that language. So, what language do you dream in?
In French. I've heard that. I've never dreamt in English. So maybe I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, never. Maybe it will happen
Interesting.
soon.
Yes, I'm sure it will because you sound pretty fluent. So, I'm sure any day now you'll have a dream in English and you'll have to let me know when it happens. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's so cool. Awesome. So I want to know kind of a personal question relating to your experience at UW La Crosse. How has your time at UW La Crosse, or how has the school itself helped you to celebrate your culture, helped you to share your culture?
Uh, I would say here in La Crosse, my experience has been fantastic. We have the international banquets each year. We have like food from different places around the world, and students showcase their tradition or just sing and share their experience.
Oh,
So I use
wow.
those opportunities to talk more about my country, and sometimes some classes have panels, and I try to go to
Mhm.
those so I can share more of my culture to students and classrooms. And yeah, I would say that.
That's really amazing that La Crosse gives you that opportunity to, like you said, just like share where you come from. It's just like an open platform for you. That's so cool. Very, very
Yeah.
cool.
And
Are you
sometimes
part of,
teachers
oh,
too,
go
like,
ahead.
oh, sorry. And teachers too, they, I think anthropology classes or sometimes psychology classes, teachers will send their students to go to the Office of International Education and ask if they can have students to ask questions and all those, just to make sure that at least people are like students are learning directly from native uh, students from those countries, because sometimes
Yeah,
they can learn from media, or but it's really good to learn from the person who's coming from there because they know exactly.
exactly. That's such a good point. On the media, especially in today's world with social media and all of that, it's really hard to find unbiased information. And, there are some countries that, especially in the US, people just aren't exposed to. It's some people have a very limited worldview just because they haven't had the opportunity to travel or anything. So I think that's amazing that UW
Yeah.
La Crosse makes that effort so that way students can learn straight from the source about what life is like in that country, or what the culture is like.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I have another question for you. This might be a tricky one, and I just want your perspective. So, in your opinion, Vanessa, why is diversity important?
I think diversity is really important because each person has different background and each person have different like ideas and knowledge. When all of us bring those ideas and knowledge together, we form like a strong team. And what comes from that is really like powerful because it's not just coming from one person, it's coming from different sources. And when all of us put those together, I think it's brilliant and it's really nice. So that's why it's important to have like diversity.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that is such an important point to make. You know, we're better together and we live in a very global world now. So you have to be open, you have to be willing to share and learn and just broaden your mind a little bit. So when there's that diversity, it happens naturally. So I heard that you advocated for something on campus, something about your country's flag. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that and why that was important to you?
Yes. So I think not well on different campuses they usually have flags, not just campuses, but sometimes different places have flags from different countries around the world. And I usually see flags from other countries in Africa, but I've never seen like the Congo. So when I came, the flags on campus were located at another location. And then last year, they moved it to a new location, and I still didn't see mine. So I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like, why
Yeah.
mine is not here? So I reached out to the office. Well, before that, when we have those banquets, we walk with our flags too. So I
Mm-hmm.
walked because there is two Congos.
Uh-huh.
So I walked with the other Congo flag, and I'm like, okay,
Wow.
I'm working with this. Yeah, it's okay, but that's not my flag.
Right.
Yeah. So after I saw those flags at the new location, I was like, okay. One of my friends, she's from China. She graduated last year. So I sent her a picture. I'm like, oh, look what they did. It's really nice. She's like, oh, yeah. And then after looking, I'm like, wow, I'm really happy that they have all these flags, even though mine is not there. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe it doesn't hurt to ask. So I
Mm-hmm.
emailed and I asked, my flag is not there. My flag is not
Yeah.
there, but I can
Like,
see flags.
hello.
But I can see flags from other countries in Africa, and those students are not here. While me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still attending the school, and my flag is not here. So they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh yes, we just put the flag. We cannot put them down. We can
Oh
put
no.
them up. We can put yours up. It was supposed to be this coming fall." And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even say anything. I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. And then I think they realized that I was graduating this term. So they
Mm-hmm.
ordered, and then we had like a celebration, like a short ceremony. They,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I was so touched because I was not expecting. Since they told me they'll put it in fall, and then receiving the email saying
Mm-hmm.
that we have your flag, I was so touched like that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's
And not
amazing.
that even.
Yeah, just having that representation and, I'm sure that helps with homesickness too. Just like it gives you pride when you see your flag and it makes you feel welcomed. And I
Yeah,
imagine that was like a really touching experience especially that they did a little ceremony and everything.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. But
And
you make
through
such a
that,
great point too. Oh, go ahead.
they were able to connect with an alum who graduated. I think he went to school. He said 20 years or something. I don't know, or 20, maybe 10 years. He said
Hmm.
that he told me like, thank you so much. I went to this school. They never had my flag. To those banquets, I work with different flags. Then I just told him, I'm like, sometimes you have to use your voice. I just asked.
Yes.
Then it happened. I was not expecting. No.
Yes, and that's such a good point. Use your voice, advocate for yourself. So that's one thing when you're in university, that's not the time to be quiet. When you are studying abroad and when you're in a new place, in a new country, you're kind of your country's ambassador and,
Yeah.
wear that as a badge of pride. So if you're not being represented the way you would like to be represented, like you said, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you won't know.
Right.
Um, so I think that's so admirable that you put yourself out there and you made it happen. And I'm sure that'll help another student in the future
Yeah.
who comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo and they'll see that flag and they'll feel welcomed. You
Yeah.
kind of created a little legacy there. So that's really, really cool. I love that. Awesome, Vanessa. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and for telling me a little bit about your culture. I'm sure you've been a wonderful advocate on campus, and I bet Kelsey is sad to see you go, but I'm sure he's just as proud of you as I am for graduating and moving forward. But again, thank you so much for sharing your experience, and thank you, Kelsey, for introducing me to Vanessa. She's awesome.
Yes, it was certainly a pleasure. I'm glad we had the chance to do it. Vanessa has certainly been one of the bright spots of my career here, and I'm definitely sad to see her go, but she's going to do great wherever she goes. So certainly.
Of course. Awesome. And for our viewers, for anyone watching, Kelsey's the guy who's going to be helping you when you're going through your admissions process, when you're about to arrive on campus, and I'm sure when you get there too, he's the guy you're going to be seeing. And Vanessa's moving on, but I'm sure if you have any questions, just reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer them. But thank you both so much for taking the time. Vanessa, it was lovely meeting you, and best of luck with your future. And thanks, Kelsey. Bye, guys.
Thank you.